Our topic for today is Awaken to Superconsciousness, and I'll tell you a story about this song later on. As we all know, we have three states of consciousness: subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. And when we meditate, we want to achieve that state of superconsciousness. However, living superconsciously, Swami Kriyananda ji says, is not just about meditating and trying to attain that state. It's about applying the principles of the superconscious state even in our daily lives so that our life can be more attuned to that state. And this is not something which people only on the spiritual path apply. All the scientists, all the creatives that there have ever been are drawing their inspiration, consciously or unconsciously, from this particular state. A great example has been Albert Einstein, who gave so many theories that were groundbreaking for physics and science in his day and age. And as you must have heard, his most famous theories were those on relativity. And he said, according to his general theory of relativity, that when a light beam passes around the sun, it bends. And to the minds of the scientists at that point, this was totally mind-boggling. And so they said, of course, that it's not true. The only way to test his theory was to see stars in the sky during a solar eclipse, which used to happen only once in a few years. So he gave this theory, and I think after 7 or 8 years, when astronomers actually studied the principles of his theory, it was finally proven. And then when it was proven, Einstein was very calm. He was not excited at all. And one of his students asked him that, what would you have done if your theory was wrong? And he said, then I would be sorry for God because my theory was right. And, it seems arrogant almost, but this statement of Einstein is coming from a much deeper state of intuition, where he could be fully confident that what he sees as truth is in fact the truth, and that the material data has to work to catch up to what he intuitively felt is true. And if you see, before his time, people used to believe that matter is a fixed reality. He broke that notion that matter is nothing but condensed energy. And he refused to be limited by what he saw from his physical eyes, but rather rely more on his intuition, even if the data in front of him was not yet proving what he intuitively felt. And that is a very important aspect of the superconscious mind. Sometimes what your intuition, your guidance tells you is very different from what you think is logically making sense. But you have to hold that intuition and have faith that even though it doesn't make sense outwardly, it has to be true. And we have to have that courage to follow it. There have been so many instances in the life of Swami Kriyananda ji which shows this. And one such instance is the song that we just played. Once there were a few students of Swami Kriyananda, and they were talking to him about how it is possible to access creativity and guidance from the superconscious state at will. Because he used to write so many books and songs, and they asked him, how do you do it? And he said, it's very simple. For example, I can just think of Japan and write a melody that reflects the consciousness of the country. And he went to the piano and he played this melody, and this is the song, just like that. The melody came just like that to him without any effort. Why? Because he had uplifted his consciousness to that level, yes, but also he had faith. He had faith in divine providence, you might say, that if I ask God for a melody or for anything else, He is going to give it to me, right? So many of us, when we do creative activities or just try to solve our daily life challenges, we have doubt, whether conscious or subconscious, that we may not be able to solve this problem. But nature is such that the solution to the problem is already present in the problem itself. We just have to find it. So if we can deepen our faith that the solution is already there, and deepen our faith not in our little self, but in the divine higher self, that even though we may not know, the solution lies, so to speak, in the ether, then we'll be in a better state to channel that solution more effectively. Another way we can apply this aspect of superconsciousness in our daily lives is, Swami Kriyananda says, just by simply living in the present moment. And he says that yogis had discovered many, many centuries, thousands of years ago, that time is basically an illusion. And that is something we only got to know about 100 years ago, right? So the more we can live in the present moment, the easier it becomes to access superconscious guidance, because otherwise our mind is always limited by the thought of time, right? It takes so much time to do this. I have such a big project. I need 3 months to prepare for this talk or this class or whatever that is. But if you live in the present moment and with faith call upon the superconscious mind, you can have the guidance in an instant. In Swami Kriyanandaji's life, many of you may know, he had a lot of health challenges. And there was particularly one year that he often calls his most stressful year. So in that year, the doctors advised him to replace a valve in his heart. And the doctor said, now you need complete bed rest. You need relaxation. And ironically, that came about to be the busiest year of his life. So at that time, while still on the hospital bed, he had committed to release 2 books. And literally, he said one day before the operation, he was editing. And the next morning, he was using his willpower to remove the effects of the anesthesia so that he can finish the book and get it to the printers. Now, when all this was happening, he was, of course, as usual, booked for lecture tours to different countries, and he used to travel so much. And at this time, Swami Kriyananda had an agreement with Warner Publishers. It's a very big name in the publishing business. And they had asked him to write a book called Meditation for Starters. You might have seen it in the boutique downstairs. So he said, all right, I'll write the book. And when he was in the process of writing the book, they came back to him and said, no, we want to change the title of the book and we want to call it Superconsciousness. And Swamiji said, you can't just slap a new title onto another book. To write a book on superconsciousness, I have to start from scratch. And he said, it'll at least take me 2 years to write a book like that. And Warner Publishers said, no, you have 2 months. So in the middle of all his lecture engagements, his precarious health, he decided that he just needed to write this book. So he did something very simple. He said, I'm not going to see anyone, no letters, no phone calls, nothing. I'm just going to withdraw and just focus on finishing this book. And he finished it within a month. And he said that was only possible because he, with his willpower, he banished the thought that, it will take me 2 years, it will take me 2 years. Because just that thought sometimes limits us so much that we don't even realize, right? Another time, it was Ananda's 20th anniversary, and one of the devotees who was responsible of the publications in Ananda told Swamiji that, it would be nice to write a book about world brotherhood colonies or spiritual communities as a gift to Ananda on our 20th anniversary. And as usual, Swamiji was coming out of 1 month-long seclusion of working on various books. And he said, no, but I'm tired, and it was only a week away, that celebration. So the devotee kept insisting, and Swamiji said, no, all right, I'll think about it. So he went back home, and he thought to himself, I cannot write this book, but God can. So let me get out of the way and let God flow through me. He started writing his book, and he was working on the computer. And then on the second day, someone was working on the electrical equipment, the power went off, and he lost everything he had written in 2 days. So he says then for the next day, he was so disappointed that he couldn't get himself to write anymore. So now 3 days have gone, 4 days are left. And then he came back with renewed energy on the 4th day and finished the book by the end of the week. Right? And this just goes on to prove that no matter how busy we are, we can always do everything that we have to do only by living in the present moment. Because when you focus your consciousness on the present moment, your mind is totally free from distractions, and all the energy of your mind can be now applied to what is in front of you. But if your mind is constantly thinking, will I finish it? Will it be good enough? I don't have enough time. The deadline is approaching. Then you will limit the power of your mind to accomplish anything. Swamiji says that since time is an illusion, it can be understood more easily by calm, clear awareness. Whenever you find yourself driven to the wall by urgent demands, whether by life or by other people, withdraw for an instant into your center within. Then tell yourself, I will not be ruled by time consciousness. I can only be right here, right now. I will live, therefore, in full awareness of the present. Right? So, if we let go of that thought that time is real and that it takes this much time to accomplish this much work, then we can be more effective. And Swamiji used to say, it's not time that is needed to accomplish anything. It's energy. Some people need 2 years to put out the same amount of energy that some people can put out in a week, right? And so we need to think more and more in terms of energy, not so much in terms of time. And that is attuning us to that state of superconsciousness, right? So the ability to let go of the delusion of time, to live in timelessness, because that's what we're trying to do in our meditation as well, right? We want to rise beyond delusion. And so the more we can do that, even in our daily activities, the more superconsciously we are going to live. And I have seen this principle work so many times in my life, where sometimes I would have back-to-back, classes and other things to do, and I really do not have any time to prepare for anything sometimes. And in those times, as Swamiji says, when you're driven to the wall, I just have to meditate and say, I have to do this. You tell me what to say. And it's so interesting, and so it's such a blessed and sacred experience when the answer comes. Because after I meditate and try to uplift my consciousness to the best of my ability, thoughts start flowing. Open this book, read this book. You read this the other day, and use that and use this. And the thoughts keep flowing unless I stop them, right? So the thoughts, the guidance, everything is always there if we tune into the superconscious mind. But if you try to go at life by piecing the pieces of the puzzle together with your conscious mind, you'll find it much more difficult and not as enjoyable. So let's live in that state of superconsciousness, and that is very, very important also for those of us who are disciples and sincere seekers, because we can never understand the guidance of the gurus at the level of our conscious mind. Sometimes the guidance they give us seems totally illogical, right? But it has to be true because it is coming from them. So the more we live in that state of superconsciousness, the deeper our intuition becomes, the easier life becomes also, because we learn how to solve our problems by relying on God's guidance instead of our limited mental capacities. So let's learn to live super consciously. Let's have faith in divine guidance and use that even in little things of life. Don't wait for the big decisions to apply your intuition. The more you practice, the easier it's going to become. Joy to all of you.
Yes. As I was reflecting, of course, as Shivendra also said, it literally means that we live our life more and more intuitively and guided by our soul guidance. And as Shivendra also mentioned so many examples how Swamiji led his life, he really gave us an example of how we can learn from that, how he lived his life and how we can also live intuitively. Swami Kriyan, and really, these masters, Paramhansa Yogananda ji and these masters, they tell us that we can know God only by intuition. So frankly, if we are on this path, we are all striving to know God, to know ourselves, to know the hidden mysteries of this universe. We frankly have no choice but to work on developing our intuition. And Swami Kriyananda says, that awakening to superconsciousness or intuition is really a heightened state of awareness. And it is when the human awareness, we take that human awareness outside the brain, and which means outside the thoughts, when we can rise that awareness, lift it up beyond thinking, logical thinking and all that. And really I was reflecting on that how many of us and how much time in the day are we in that state that we have no thoughts. I mean, as for me, I'm always constantly, there is something going on. And as long as this something thoughts are going on, I'm really not even getting close to that super consciousness, to that intuitive plane. So I was really thinking that the first thing what I should do is really get into that state where there are no thoughts, because then I can really lift myself and touch those intuitive guidance. Um, and these masters have really given us the key to do that. They have given us the technique. Lahiri Mahashaya ji says that we should, whoever's learned meditation here, he says that we should spend a long time on the expansion stage after the techniques. And he says, these masters say, Yogananda says that enjoying the peaceful after effects of meditation. And I was really reflecting on that, and I felt that to do that, to really be in that state, to enjoy these after effects, peaceful after effects, two things are really important for us to develop, two faculties in us. One is awareness, and the other is feeling. To hold on to that peaceful after effect, we have to really hold on to our awareness. And frankly, like for, at least for me initially, and now I'm still a little bit better, but I couldn't able to hold on. I was there for some time, and then the thoughts would again come. So I was again out of that super conscious state. So then I realized what I need to do is really hold on, practice holding on to that state of awareness. And the other thing, the feeling part, the peace, these super conscious aspects that we learn, it is an enjoying that. How does it come? It will only come through feeling. So developing that aspect of feeling. And I was then, since some time, I'm really consciously trying to do these things, develop the aspect of awareness and on feeling. And through the day, as the day goes, apart from my meditative time, I really try to close my eyes and just hold on to my awareness. And as Shivendra also said, that we need to focus on the present moment. And frankly, the technique that which is given us in meditation, the Hong Saw technique, it is focusing on the breath, which is moving at the present moment. And now I really close my eyes, and more than focusing on the breath or anything, just holding on to my awareness at times through the day, and that's really made a huge difference. It may be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and these masters tell us to do that. Practice that. The more we do that, we see that it becomes more and more easier to hold that awareness, to be in a focused, concentrated mind. And without that power of concentration, we really cannot touch the intuitive or superconscious state. Also, there was an incident in Yogananda ji's life, and he had this disciple, and he comes and tells him that I'm good as a good spiritual person, but in business, I can't make money. And Yogananda ji says, I'm going to show you how to do that. And he says, okay, in 2 weeks, I'm going to earn $5,000 for you. And this guy was like, how is he going to do it? And what Yogananda ji did was, and this is really for us to learn from, what he did was he disconnected from all the outward influences or outward life, completely disconnected. And his focus, one-pointed focus, as Shivendra also mentioned, he turned it inwards. And focusing to his soul, focusing inwards, he asked the soul, the divine within, show me how to earn this money. And then he gets this guidance. He is able to see these houses, okay? And so he then understands that, it's something to do with real estate. And so he opens the newspapers and he checks these real estate advertisements and all that. And then he tells this person, let's invest on these few houses. And that time, the real estate market was really bad. So this businessman, this person is really shaky that what is this guy doing? Does he even know what all my money is going to go? And, he's in complete doubt. But of course, Yoganandaji was very sure because, as Shivendra also mentioned, when we have a superconscious guidance, it is with calmness, it is with complete clarity. And as Einstein said, now God has made a mistake, but what I'm thinking is right. So even Yoganandaji was, I know what I'm doing, it's right. There was no doubt. And he said that don't doubt. Whatever has come, let's just take the step into it. And they did it. They invested on these houses. And in 2 weeks' time, the market completely changed. The prices hiked, and they sold those houses. And they got exactly a profit of $5,000 in 2 weeks' time, what he said. So really, it is for us to learn, what did he do? First of all, his concentration was so developed, he could cut off from all other thoughts, he could take it inward, and he asked from guidance within. He asked the God, the soul within. And that is what intuition is. With focus, with intuition, he was able to succeed even on a material plane in that way. And on the ground of feeling, I would like to share this. It was beautiful and so powerful. I had gone for this living discipleship program which Shivendra and Nayantara recently went to. And in that, we one of our teachers, he made us do this activity. So he took us out in the nature, and he said, sit wherever you want to. And then he said that now you put yourself into the trees or rocks or plants or leaves or whatever you want. Like, put yourself into the heart of it. So in my mind, so I had this tree, and in my mind, I kind of put myself into that tree, into the heart of the tree, and he said that, see how it feels. And initially when we hear this, we're like, what is he even talking? But then we really did that. We were in that flow. And I put my mind into that tree, and I could genuinely feel that complete stillness and peace of that tree. I put my mind into that rock, and that feeling was not the same. Going into the center of, Swamiji says that go into the center of things and feel it. That is how we develop our feeling aspect, and feeling aspect, the calm feeling, is intuition. We develop our intuition in that way. We went into the rock, the feeling was not the same. It was a different feeling. He then told us, think of the person, maybe you have a grudge against, or you're not even with him. And I had this person, so I thought of that person. And he says, go into the heart of that person and see how he feels or she feels, And I went into the heart of that person, and whoa, and I could really feel that what he was feeling. And I could then know how to behave with that person to change our equation. And I did that because I came to know what was in his heart. Why was he behaving like that? And I changed my equation, and our relationship changed. This is powerful. This is intuition, going to the heart of things. And this is how we develop the feeling aspect of it. Also, Swamiji writes one more thing, that intuition is the calm feeling. So as long as there is ruffling and disturbance in the heart, because of our egoic preferences, likes and dislikes, we are not going to be able to tune into what the soul is saying. That restlessness has to calm down. And lately, I have been, since some time, I've been on a lookout that anything, any situation, any person, if there is a ruffle being caused, if there is any disturbance in the calmness of the heart, that means that needs to be attended to, that needs to be resolved. And we really have to actively put on the energy to resolve it. Just by resisting, escaping, avoiding, it doesn't help. it will come back again and again. And there were a few things that were giving that effect in me, and I consciously put energy to calm them down and reasonably calm them down. And frankly, it has helped me tremendously. Tremendously. Now, in that same situation, with those same people, I don't feel that disturbance or ruffling. There is a calm feeling. And that's again helping us to develop intuition, our awareness and our feeling aspect. And one last thing I wanted to share also, that Shivendra said, that letting God do through us, that always thinking God is the doer. There was some time back, I was making this painting. My music teacher told me to make this painting, and it was on Swami Haridas. Okay, now it is not our Naya Swami Haridas ji in Ananda. It is he's a musician. So if you know Tansen, who was the court musician of Akbar, so unke guru, his guru was Swami Haridas. Now, at that time, there was no camera, so there is no picture really of his. There is only one kind of an animated drawing, outline somebody has made, and wo aankhein aise tarang, tarang, gol, gol. So there is no you can't make out. Now, he tells me, you make a full painting like 3 by 3. How do I make a painting of this person where I have not seen him? There is no context. So 2 days, say I was trying to do something with the face from that whatever picture he gave me, and I was completely failing. Then I was like just completely given it up. Then I meditated, and I was like, I have not seen this. I don't know this person. God, you have to do this through me. Master, you have to do this. You know this person. You have seen this. And frankly, I kind of tried that removing, and then I took the brush again. And in 15 minutes, it got made. The eyes came, and he was a highly spiritual soul, and the eyes really expressed that spiritual aspect of his. And I know I haven't done it. There was a force doing it, and because it just came in such a flow that I could say that there was something else doing it, and it wasn't me. And as Shivendra said, when we really remove ourselves and really feel, tune in, God is the doer, God comes, and God does amazing things through us. And this is all what awakening to superconsciousness is all about. And frankly, we have no choice. So let's begin to work on it from today. Thank you. Oh.